In this video, we are going to talk about IELTS Writing Task 2. As you might know, IELTS Writing is in two different formats, academic and general, and both these modules consist of two tasks, Task 1 and Task 2. And for both these tasks, you will have 1 hour to write the writing. Now, let's talk about Task 2. In Task 2, you will be asked to write an essay in 40 minutes. And this essay should be written in at least 250 words. You will also face different question types in this task that we will talk about in the next videos. Don't worry about it. Now your score in your IELTS writing will be out of 9. But what are the criteria based on which we will get this score? Here we have the IELTS Task 2 writing band descriptors based on which your writing will be evaluated. As you can see in the table, your writing in Task 1 or 2 will be evaluated based on 4 criteria, and for each one, you will get from 0 to 9 score. An average of all will make your overall writing score. These criteria are task response or task achievement, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource or vocabulary, and finally, grammatical range and accuracy. Now, let's get started with the first criteria to see what this is about. The first criteria is task achievement or task response. In this criteria, the type of response that you give for the essay's given question is determined. So, what can we do to get a very high score in this criteria? Let's see. First of all, read the question very carefully and give a relevant and developed answer to it using explanations and examples. Be mindful that you shouldn't overgeneralize and you must give a specific detailed answer to the question. Avoid going off the topic in writing for which you will lose marks. It's not like speaking. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, you are supposed to write at least 250 words for Task 2. Therefore, be careful with the word count as well. Now, let's talk about the second criteria, which is coherence and cohesion. In this criteria, your information organization, paragraphing skills, and use of proper lexical devices like conjunctions and connectors are determined. Number of paragraphs are also taken into consideration in this criteria. So, dividing your essay into more or less paragraphs will lower your score. Other than that, you should be careful to write your writing in a very clear and developed format. What I mean is that not only your ideas should be developed in a logical way within one paragraph, but also you have to have the same structure throughout the whole essay. This is very important. Now, what can we do to get a higher score in this criteria? Let's see. First of all, express your main idea very clearly in the introduction paragraph, which is the first paragraph. Follow the 3 magic sentences rule in the 2 body paragraphs, which are the topic sentence, explanation, and example in Task 2. Leave 1 space between each paragraph in a clear manner so that the examiner can easily identify it. If you are good at typing, taking the computer-based IELTS would be a good choice for you.
In this course, you will have a series of educational videos in which you will learn each and every tip you will need in specific details for both general and academic modules.
Next question type is double question or
Attached to each video, you will have the PDF files for each question type, including the paragraph structure, the expressions, and the techniques you can apply, which have all been taught in the videos. To make sure that you learn everything properly, in each video we will write an essay, a letter, or a report by using the tips that you have learned. Moreover, something to help you in this section is the different question samples we have put for you to write your own writing about. This isn't everything. We strongly recommend you to use our writing correction services as well, so that our examiner can give you a written and video feedback and make sure you're ready for the real test. Join us to become our next successful candidate.
Let's talk about the third criteria, which is lexical resource or vocabulary. In this criteria, the use of sufficient range of vocabulary, correct spelling, proper implementation of collocations and word formation are taken care of. You should also avoid using wrong words or the things that you are not really sure about, and also informal language should not be used in this criteria. So, what are the things that we can do to get a very high score in this criteria? Let's see. First of all, don't use the same word over and over again. Instead, think of synonyms and paraphrased form of the word. Secondly, if you are not 100% sure about the words you're using, don't use them at all. Avoid using fancy words and try to use the words in their correct place. And finally, watch for the spelling of the words. And finally, let's talk about the last criteria, which is grammatical range and accuracy. In this criteria, your sentence structures, proper use of tenses, which are past, present, and future, putting right punctuations, and using simple structures as well as complex structures and statements with a clear idea and control over grammar is significant. So, what can we do to get a high score in this criteria? First of all, 70% of your text should be error-free to get over 6 in this criteria. The key to this is to only use the grammars that you are totally sure about. You should also try to use complex grammatical structures. By complex, I mean that you have got to avoid using one-clause sentences only. You can instead link up your simple structures using linkers, conjunctions, or relative pronouns. For example, instead of saying, "My name is Mehnush, I am an IELTS instructor," I say, "My name is Mehnush and I am an IELTS instructor." However, you should not use too many clauses in one sentence. That is also incorrect. Regarding the complex and simple grammatical structures which I mentioned, you should know that the person who only uses a combination of simple and complex structures will get a 6 in the grammar, but a person who only uses complex structures will get 7 and above in this criteria. So generally, after all the information we got about these different criteria, you should know one thing, which is the most important one, and that is to be clear in your writing. The examiner should understand each and every idea that you express in your writing. This is very significant.